I'd like to welcome you to our first webinar for 2019. My name's Donna and I'm here with Chapman from ZING, and he's going to be taking you through the Goal Digger today. Before we get into that though, what I'd like to do is just check that you can hear and see what's on the screen. So if you can see the logo on the bottom right there, the ZING project, if you could raise your hand on the device that you've got, it'll be shown just like a hand. Okay, if we could have a few more hands up, that would be fabulous. Oh, fantastic. So everybody can see, that's great. I'll just put those hands down. All right, Jay, it looks like it's all up to you. Hey there, Jay.
Very good. Excellent. Hand over the baton. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much for your time, everyone, this morning. I know that start of the year hit the ground running, and it is actually perfect time to be digging deep and having a look at planning out your year and setting some goals. So thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy schedules. And I also feel very privileged that I'm first cab off the rank. I'm the very first presenter for 2019. Surely I get a trophy or a medal for that. That's pretty special. So thank you for inviting me to be a part of the Katoomba webinar sessions. I absolutely love it. And I've been getting great feedback for when I've done them in the past. So let's hope that this is not an exception. So what I thought I would do with our webinar today is to go through some of the common mistakes and some of the things that can hold us back from planning out our year and setting goals in the first place. So one thing that I'm very passionate about when I help my salon owner clients with planning or with motivating their team or recommending retail or anything to grow in business is finding out what are the patterns in the past that have held them back from moving forward. You see, it forms a solid foundation to go back and work out if there's anything blocking that person before you move forward. Otherwise, I feel I'm delivering content and those patterns might rear their head at any time. So what I like to do today is empty the handbag out onto the table and go through all the contents and find out what are the elements that you absolutely must nail when it comes to goal setting and planning, and what are the elements that can actually go back inside the handbag that are of value to you and that serve you, your business, your clients, your team, so that you can really move forward. So some of the slides that I'll be sharing will have examples of what could potentially be holding us back and some of the elements that will really help you move forward. So if you do have a pen and paper, jot down the ones that are relevant to you and your business. So then you can work on them. So it's about shining a light on what you need to focus on to get you to that next level. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press the space bar and hopefully it's the next slide and you can see all of my notes. And the first element that we really need to consider when it comes to planning and setting goals for our business is we need to plan out our time properly. Now, time management is something that typically as entrepreneurs, we're not amazing at. And I'm allowed to say that because I'm a hairdresser by trade, a salon owner, and a business coach. So I have my nose in lots of people's businesses. And I know that it can be really tricky to do the juggling act of managing everything in your working week. And you can see the first dot point there, 2 jobs. You do. You effectively have 2 jobs. So when you signed up to buy your salon or to take over your salon, you signed up to having a second job, and that's being a business owner or entrepreneur. And you're also probably a mother or a father or a cleaner, a hairdresser, beauty therapist, cosmetic nurse. You've got so many hats to wear. So the job of owning a business doesn't come with an instruction manual. So what we can tend to do is we swap hats all the time. Salon owner, cleaner, apprentice, beauty therapist, business owner, marketing expert, social media manager, and it's very stressful. And we don't have enough time to plan out every single task that we need to do to get it done right. So why is this important and how does it fit into goal setting and planning? Well, if you don't allow the time and the energy to go into your plan, you're never going to gain traction. So what I would like you to consider is, how do I fix this once? How do I make sure that I stay focused and on task and on track? And one thing that I know is that hairdressers and beauty therapists are very visual people. So third point is, you need a physical plan. And whether that's like my physical plan, which are posters and post-its and programs, something visual that I can see. But what I know for sure is that when I have ideas swimming around in my head, they don't serve me. So you need a paper trail, and we don't have enough of a paper trail. Whether that's online using a spreadsheet or whether that's physical paper, that's up to you. But what we need to be able to do is go to bed at night and know that when we wake up in the morning, the next morning, we can pick up that physical plan and take up from where we left off. So think about, if you're on the floor working as a stylist or a beauty therapist, how planned your day is. It's usually within 5 minutes. So you'll have a 25-minute haircut, you'll have a 45-minute injectables client, then you'll have a facial for 60 minutes, and you'll even put in the turnaround time in your appointment book. That's how planned working on the business and working on your plan needs to be. So working on your business for 4 hours a week, if you had that time allocated in your diary every single week and you respected it as you should and did not move it, the fire or blood rule, so something needs to be on fire or someone needs to be bleeding to be able to move it, and respect that time like someone's paying you for that time, and you focused on the same tasks every single week, you would get to where you want to go. So the problem is that no one's holding us accountable. So if that's one of your challenges, I would like you to write down, how are you going to move forward with working on your business every single week from now on? 4 hours, fire or blood rule, and start to create today a physical plan to move your business to the next level. Point number 5, we need to share the load. And this is really common as well, that, and I put my hand up for this because I'm terrible at this, that we make our physical plan and we do all the tasks on it. And truth be known, you're not good at everything. Except for me, of course, I'm good at everything. I'm the king of everything. What is it? My partner calls me Eddie Expert because apparently I'm an expert of everything. But I know that that doesn't work. I'm not good at the small detailed tasks. So I outsource that. I outsource it to someone that is better at that than me. Now that takes more time in the interim because you have to train someone to do that task, and you probably feel, oh, it's quicker and easier to do it myself. But long term, that's not going to serve you. When we think about your time on the floor, we need to appreciate that the business isn't valuable and the business can be risky if you are the biggest earner. So what happens if something happened to you and you're 50% of the income? That's such a risky place in your business. So if you're thinking, what do I even work on, Jay? What could be one of my goals? Go back today and have a look at what percentage you're earning in your salon. And I'm sure that there's some of you that are listening to this that are solo operators and you're 100%. I'd like you to consider that if that's your choice, that's fantastic and I applaud you for it. However, it's an incredibly risky business model. Systems, and a lot of people are rolling their eyes, I can tell. Systems. And when we think of systems, we think of trying to put people in boxes and trying to script everything and create little mini robots running around our salons. And that's not the case. Systems can be as simple as taking a photo. So at my reception desk when I was working in my salon, when you pulled out the left-hand side drawer, in the base of the drawer were text outlines of everything where I liked everything to be kept. And inside that outline was stapler, FPOS receipts, blah, blah, blah. And you might think that's micromanagement. No, that's solving a problem and knowing that I'll never have to address that again. So remember, fix it once, fix it one time. Have a think about, how can I address this so I never have to address it again? And that's what policies, systems, and procedures allow you to do. They free up time and they're written down somewhere. The other thing is in my reception cupboard, when you open the drawer, there's a photo of how I like the reception desk to look, the front of it and the back of it, and all the drawers open. And that means that at the end of the day, when my junior stylist or whoever's doing the end of day at the reception area, all they need to do is open the drawer, open the cupboard, have a look at the outlines, have a look at the photo, and they know that that's how it needs to be. So as much as it's great that it's written down, you can cheat and you can take a photo. So the hair salon owners, do you like your color tubes to be in a certain order? Take a photo. It takes the guesswork out of it. So think, picture's worth 1,000 words. It's so true, isn't it? So you're allowed to cheat with that one. When a team member comes to you and says, Mary, what should I do here? Or I think I need to do this. Your response needs to say, what do you think? So instead of giving everyone the answer and constantly reiterating the systems and policies and procedures, you need to teach your team to think on their feet. And the great thing about that is when they come up with the answer, they own it. And who agrees that when it's your idea, it's the best idea? Same thing with your team. So instead of giving your team the answers, instead of creating the systems, ask your team to be involved in creating the systems. Because if it's one thing I know about Gen Ys and millennials, which is majority of our workforce, they want to be a part of something bigger and they think that their ideas are the best. I'm allowed to say that. I'm one of them. So allow them to help you with planning your systems. And when they break it or if they ask you a question about the system, ask them, what do you think? What do you think the answer is? We don't plan ahead with our marketing. Now, this is something that I get asked all the time. Social media, how do I get bums on seats? What marketing works the best? And I'd like you to have a think about what you have done in the past that has worked for you. You don't have to come up with new ideas every single time. In fact, I spoke to a client last Friday and we worked out there was 4 campaigns that she did last year that gave her really good traction in business and allowed this spend to go up and allowed some new clients to come in. And we decided that each one of those campaigns was going to be put on repeat for the next 12 months. So she was going to do each campaign 3 times a year, and that was her marketing done. Yes, you tweak them each time, but not everyone sees your marketing, so you can do that. You need to market to new and existing clients. So a lot of salon owners, they only plan or they only set goals around marketing to get new clients in the door. But we need to market to our existing clients as well. So let me be really clear. What's the difference? Marketing and planning to market to new clients is to get bums on seats or bodies on beds. Marketing to your existing clients is to up the average client spend and to increase loyalty. So if marketing is something that you want to set some goals around and plan for 2019, let's start with February because you've got some time up your sleeve. What are you going to do to market to get new clients in February? And what are you going to do to market to your existing clients in February to up their spend, introduce them to new services and products, and to increase their loyalty? I'd like you to have a think about that because you need to plan for both. So there's some really basic foundation marketing pieces or marketing focuses that you absolutely must nail. So before I focus on any marketing campaigns for new and existing clients with my clients, my coaching clients, we have to put in place marketing to new clients. So this isn't to get them in. This is when you already have them in the salon, how we're going to market to them afterwards. So the follow-up. And I know Katoomba has some automation that will make that very easy for you. And how do we market to your lost clients? So the clients that used to come to you but don't anymore. So think about a lost client as the complete opposite to a new client. New clients are people coming in the front door. Lost clients are people going out the back. So in Katoomba, it is called Customer Retention Report. So you'll be able to run a report. Let's go back 4 months ago. And 4 months ago, enter in a 1 week date range. And what that report will spit out for you is a list of people that came in 4 months ago in that week, and they have not been back since. And what you'll find is that number will be very similar to how many new clients you looked after in that 1 week period. And that's very common. But what are you doing to keep the new clients once they're in? And what are you doing to invite the clients that have lapsed back into your business? So if you do one thing today, that will be the most valuable task that you can plan in your business. Traffic in, traffic out. Also, marketing, one thing that we really underestimate is how you show up. You are your own brand. You are your own marketing. And I was with a client in Melbourne a couple of months ago it was probably, November 2018. And she always looks absolutely beautiful, very confident, always shoulders back, head up high. And the amount of people that commented on her, I love your jacket, oh, your hair looks amazing, or I love your eyebrows, people were saying, waitress said, I love your eyebrows, who does your eyebrows? It was absolutely incredible. So when you show up to work, shoulders slumped, and you're feeling crappy, and your team member says to you, good morning, and you say, is it? You're not marketing to your team, and you're not marketing to your potential clients. It's the way you show up to work. We've touched on this earlier, but I do like to do a deep dive into this, which is we don't involve our team in the goal setting and planning process. I had one of my clients, it was the first week in January, she had her whole team of beauty therapists, she has 12 on team and reception, go out to her new house, and they closed the salon for the day, and all they did was goal setting and planning. They helped each other. Okay, you want to be doing threading by March, you want to be doing laser treatments by June, and how does that fit into the big picture of the salon owner's goals? And they all did a big brain dump with a lot of structure, and they set the themes for the whole 2019. How amazing is that? But the one thing that I was very conscious of telling this client is I want her to be the mediator, I want her to control the day, but I want her to ask lots of questions so that the team are actually involved in the direction that the business is taking. They need to be a part of the decision making, and that allows them to have ownership. And again, as I mentioned before, that allows your team member to be a part of something bigger than that is just their column. And when it's their idea, it's always the best idea. Also, this year, a lot of clients of mine are looking for new team members. And it's still really common that the plan or the end goal for hiring a team member is hiring someone that can hit the ground running, hiring someone that's qualified. Now, you'd probably agree with the statement that they've closed the factory and not making any more hairdressers or beauty therapists, and sometimes it can feel that way. So what I would like you to do is when you're hiring this year, because I know that all of you are, you're all nodding, you need to hire for personality, not skill, because you can teach the skill element. You can't go to personality school. True? I made that up just then. I like that. I'm going to write that down. I'm making myself laugh. Put your hand up if you thought that was funny. So stop hiring on skill, because that is something that you can teach very easily. And I had a client last year say the only person that has applied is a third-year apprentice. I don't want a third-year apprentice. With some really good training, you can make a third-year apprentice a qualified hairdresser in about 6 months. Why wouldn't you invest that 6 months to get someone that's going to be a keeper in your business? The other element is being able to move forward with your business and really set up an amazing team and a profitable, thriving business. You need the right team. So you need to take stock of who you currently have on your team, because you really can't move forward if you keep on going back with not having the right people. And if you wouldn't feel comfortable enough with having those people in your house for dinner or over for a coffee, or if you wouldn't feel comfortable giving them a key to your salon, you don't have the right team. So that's one thing that you need to work on, is having the team that are going to take you to where you need to go. Training, technical training. We need to be honest about what skills we do have and what skills we don't have. Very common that I work with a salon where there's a senior hairdresser that knows how to do extensions, but they're not doing extensions. Or there's a beauty therapist that's been trained in dermapen or needling, but they're not offering dermapen or needling. It's missed opportunities. Your team are more capable than what you think, even yourself. But we also need to be honest about what skills we don't have. And we need to plan for technical training. The amount of times that I see blogs or webinars about how we constantly need to evolve and keep upskilling in our industry versus how many times I ask a hair salon or a beauty salon, where's your training plan? Talk to me about the training that you have booked in for this year. And I can hear crickets, there's nothing, is incredible. So one thing that you need to work on today when you're setting your goals and when you're feeling very motivated and inspired is, what is your training plan? And you need to get in now. So maybe you want to meet every single Friday at 8 a.m. Maybe you want to meet the last Tuesday of every month for some technical training, but the whole team needs to be involved. You need lots of notice and it has to be locked in and not moved. The same as what I mentioned, the fire and blood rule. This is the fire and blood rule. Something needs to be on fire or someone needs to be bleeding for you to move training. It doesn't matter how loyal that client is. You need to make a plan for training and stick to the plan. When we think about making a plan or setting goals for technical training, we need a plan with time frames. And that's how trade school works. When you were training to be a beauty therapist or a nurse or a hairdresser, whatever your role is, you had modules and you had time frames that you had to complete those modules within. If we don't have an end game, an end point, a definition of done, your technical training can be too open-ended. We need to know of a date or a time in the future that we can confidently say, we're a 10 out of 10. We can move on to the next area. We must have time frames with technical training. This is what Katoomba will like, is we don't know our numbers. And so many of my clients use Katoomba. Well, let's have a guess. It would be 75%, and it's for good reason. It's an incredible program. And a lot of you are using the point of sale and the appointment book really well. And if you're beauty, you're probably using the online booking as well. And if not, you need to. But one thing that surprises me is how many people don't know all the ins and outs of the incredible reports. And we must know our numbers when it comes to goal setting and planning. So thinking about where you are today and where you'd like to be in 12 months or 6 months time, there'll be a number behind that. So you might be turning over $8,000 a week and you want to be turning over $10,000 a week. Firstly, what's the time frame? And how do we know where to start if we don't know our numbers? So an example of some numbers that you must know, and Katoomba tells you, is, of course, new clients, lost clients, rebooking and retention numbers, how many clients in total you're looking after, retail values and retail units, and rebooking. Rebooking is so important, especially this time of year. It is quieter for a lot of salons out there, so we must rebook our clients. But unless you know the values or the numbers, we can't have a starting point. And how on earth do we have an end game, an end point, if we don't know where we're starting? So when you plan, you need to know exactly where you are today and where you would like to be in that time frame. Heaps, lots, and more is not a measure. So if you're thinking that you would like more new clients this year, how much is more? Is one client enough? Or is 30 new clients enough? Or we need to grow our average client spend. Where is it today? Where would you like it to be? We also need to measure the progress, and you can only do that if you have a starting point and an end point. So if your average client bill is $100 and you want to get it to $200, halfway through your plan, you should be at 150. So we need to break down that gap and know what are the little milestones in between that enable us to get to where we want to go. Would you agree that when you give your team a target, or when you show them that they're bringing in $1,800 a week and they need to bring in $3,500 for an example, that sometimes they go, wow, that is so much money, and they don't bother trying? The same is with you when you're a salon owner. To go from $8,000 a week to $10,000 is a big feat, but you must agree that it's not impossible. But if we only focus on getting to 8,500 this month, could you get to 8,500 this month if you were starting at 8 grand? I could think of so many things off the top of my head that you could do today to make sure that you're averaging $8,500 a week within the next month. Interesting, isn't it? You have to know your numbers. What a waste. There's two elements that we can waste in business. And one of them is time. We all waste time. Again, the first slide that we went through today was about time management. And if you are not managing your time well, there's no point setting a plan or setting your goals. That's the first thing that you need to work on. And we all waste time. We are so distracted. We've never been more distracted. And while I've been doing this webinar, I've checked Facebook and Instagram. I've written a message to my mum and I've confirmed the babysitter for tomorrow. I haven't really, but it is that easy. And I remember last year I did a live feed on our Facebook group, the Inspired Salon Collective, about distractions and how to remove distractions. And after that, I was thinking, well, what are my distractions? What do I do not so well? And how could I remove distractions for myself? And while I was thinking that, I'd actually walked out the sliding door of my office and I was watering the plants in the garden. I get distracted too. We're all human. And I didn't plan on watering my garden that day. I'm meant to be working in my office. But we all get distracted. It's about working out what is it that is distracting you and holding you back from being an amazing salon owner that is running their business like a well-oiled machine, and one that keeps on swapping the hats and doing the wages and getting interrupted and scheduling their posts and on the laptop at 10:30 at night doing things towards their business. What stops you from managing your time well, and what stops you from having a set plan and actually sticking to it? So that's the biggest one, time management. We all have 168 hours in a week. Some use it really well, some not so much. So if Richard Branson can run a multi-billion-dollar company, you can run your hair salon. It's about how you spend your time. The other part of waste, which is probably what you thought of as soon as you saw waste come up on the screen, is color for the hair salons out there. If you think about saving 10 grams of color for every single color that you do, or even 5 grams of color, every 4th, 5th or 6th, or even every 8th color that you would do would be for free. And that is how much on average in Australia and New Zealand we waste on every color. That's amazing, isn't it? 10 grams of color. That could be every 4th color is free, that you don't have to pay for the cost. Unbelievable. Don't tell your product company that. However, it does enable you to be able to forge your color bills and pay your bills on time when you're not wasting product. So in fact, you'll become a much better client of theirs. There needs to be an open discussion in your salon about how much product you use, whether it's professional hair color, whether it's the amount of shampoo that you're using at the back basin, and even for your beauty therapists out there, how much cleanser, toner, moisturizer, eye cream, serums are you using in your facial? One exercise that I've done a lot with beauty therapists is we get and I'm not going to pronounce it right, those little pots that you mix up the eyelash tint and the eyebrow tint, and I'm doing the hand actions, and of course you can't see me, what an idiot. Those little pots that you mix up the eyelash tint and the brow tint. Get your beauty therapist to mix up how much they would use on your eyebrow tint. Get them to do it in front of you, and you'll be amazed. Some people fill the pot right up to the top. Other people, it'll be the size of a match head. They're all charging the same amount of money, so why are they using a different amount of product? So you might be thinking, this is so small, this is so granular, but if you do the sums on even using double the amount of tint for an eyelash tint for the year, you could go to Bali on a holiday. What would you prefer? I know you'd prefer to be in Bali. When it comes to time management, particularly in hairdressing, but also in beauty as well, it can be really tricky to get everyone to stick to the same time frames in your salon. Now, I have had some hairdressers say to me, I need the time to spend on clients' hair. I'm happy to charge the client more for my time. That's okay. But more often than not, we want to charge $100 for a half head of foils, whether it's 30 minutes or whether it's 60 minutes. It doesn't work like that. And we all know, we've been saying it for years and years in business, time is money, money is time. So telling someone to hurry up is not good enough. We need to go back to training and work out what is it that is stopping that hairdresser to performing your services in the time frames that you require to be profitable. Every 15 minutes that you go over, you're chewing into your profit margin. So whether you're wasting physical color, which is really easy to track, physical product, we need to also manage how we're spending our time as therapists, salon owners, beauty therapists. And that is less tangible. But unless you're having an open, honest discussion about it, you're always going to be treading water and taking that cream off the top of your profit margin. So where do we start? We've spoken up until this point about what it is that we need to do to make sure that our head is in the game and that we are feeling motivated and we're knowing what's holding us back and all the elements that go into goal setting and planning in your business. Now, the reason why I spoke so much about what can hold us back and mindset around the 7 elements of planning and goal setting is that is the foundation. Planning and goal setting is actually much easier than what you think. It's about writing it down. What's the end date? What's the measure? So for an example, this salon's planning on doing an extra $2,000 a week. What are the milestones? So you can see here today, $0, and the next step is $500. But what is the time frame around that? Can we do sustainably, long-term, an extra $500 a week ongoing by next week? Probably not. Anything that's quick to come is quick to go. You know that. So an extra $500 a week, that's our first focus. That's that first gap that we need to focus on. What are some things that we can implement that will enable us to be doing a consistent extra $500 a week by the end of February? So the only thing I want you to focus on is that first gap. What are all the things that you can think of that you can make a difference in your business that will enable you to get to that first milestone? Now, a lot of people think too far, too big, too far in advance to the $2,000, and that can be very unmotivating, thinking, oh my goodness, how on earth do I get to $2,000 extra a week? That is so much. Your only job today is to work out what that first milestone is. So have a think about how many clients you see, and would it get you to $500 extra a week if every client was to spend $5 more? Just $5. So you might see 60 clients and every single client spends $5 more. How would you do that long term? Brainstorm this with your team. And once you've hit that $500 milestone and you're doing it easily, consistently, it's automatic, you're doing it like a well-oiled machine and everyone's on board and it's a habit now. Then and only then can you move on to step 2, which is how do we get from 500 to 1,000? There's strength in flexibility. So looking at what I planned to achieve in 2018 at the start of the year and what my end result was, my plan changed about 50 times. And what a lot of people do is they hit a roadblock, or a business throws them a curveball and they put the whole plan in the bin. We need to be flexible. So if you lose a team member in the meantime, you still need to be focusing on how do we get to that extra $500 a week? Or maybe do we need to review it and get to $250? But you don't throw your plan in the bin. Just go back and tweak your plan or completely change it It's whatever's up to you, but you need to keep on track, and you need to make sure that you've got your plan and your milestones mapped out for you. So I'd like you to consider what could get in your way so that you are prepared if a team member was to leave, or you're prepared that someone falls ill, or you're prepared that while you're away momentum might drop. So what are you going to put in place? Who is doing the tasks? So everything to get you from 0 to 500 doesn't need to be up to you. Who are you outsourcing some of these tasks to? Who are you outsourcing the accountability for when you're not in the salon? What are the milestones? What are the measurements? What are the start and what are the end dates? So the actual physical plan doesn't need to be that complicated. I do think it needs to be physical, and I do think that you need to involve the whole team in what it is that you're planning to achieve in your business. So what I would like for you to do is I would like to help keep you accountable along the way, and keep you inspired and keep you motivated and heading in the right direction. And one way that we do that, and one way that we introduce who we are, what we do, and why we do it at ZING, is we invite you and your team to the Inspired Salon Collective. So all you need to do is type into Facebook ZING Inspired Salon Collective, and it's a private group full of hairdressers, beauty therapists, salon owners, accountants for hairdressers, anyone that's connected to the hair and beauty industry. So a really well-rounded group where we can bounce off each other, share ideas, share our wins, ask questions of a really connected, smart community, and also be able to see our content. Every week I do Free Stuff Friday. I do about 4 or 5 live feeds every single week. We give away webinars, chapters of Lisa's books, so that we can keep your cup full of ideas and inspiration, and you can get a really good feel for what it is that we have to offer at ZING. So we have 7 coaches on board now, and we all post regularly in this group, and we're going to ramp it up this year as well. And if you would like to, you'll be able to see me in there. By all means, reach out and say, I'm stuck on this. One thing I know for sure is that webinars do inspire, they motivate, and they can give you clarity. However, that can dwindle. So if you do need clarity around something, click on my name, find me on Facebook, find me on Instagram, and reach out. Because even if we don't work together in the future, which is completely fine, I know that not everyone's my client, but if someone says, I need help in my business, you should reach out to that Jay guy. I went to his webinar in January this year. It was really good. That's all I want from you. Okay, so hopefully that's been helpful, and it's given you some inspiration and some clarity on where you need to focus your energy to take your business to the next level. And the only way that you're going to be able to do that is map out a plan and stick to it. So thanks very much for attending today. And if you've got any questions, by all means, get in contact, or I think even at the end of the webinar, you have the opportunity to ask some questions. I'm not sure. Or maybe we need to take that offline.
That's right, Jay. So I've got some questions right now, although we are a little bit over time, but if there are some questions that you'd like to quickly ask before we finish, please pop those into the question pane and I'll be able to read those out to Jay. Okay, thank you very much, Jay. That was a really, really great start to our webinar series for this year. I've learned a lot about things. Just a question about taking photos of your drawers and stuff. I was thinking to myself, I always have a battle with my children and think perhaps if I take a photo of what their room is supposed to look like, and then they could actually keep it clean to that, it would be great.
Well, look, it'd either be very depressing for you to know that it'll never look like that ever again, or it'll work beautifully. Now,
Yeah.
I'm a business expert, but I'm not a kid expert. So okay, give it a crack, and if it works, let me know, because I've got 5-year-old twins, and
oh, right.
their 6 extends to the whole house, not their bedroom. But yes, the theory is good. And how I came up with this theory was I was house sitting for Lisa Conway, the founder of ZING. And when she came home, she rang me and she said, did you even stay at my house? And I said, of course I did. Your dog would be dead if I didn't, because I was dog sitting as well. And she said, and what bed did you sleep in? And I said, the spare bedroom, the one downstairs. And she said, the bed's perfect. It's like you never slept on it. And I said, well, there was that many bloody cushions on it. I thought I'll never be able to recreate this. So I took a photo and I knew how to put it back together again. So, and
great idea.
she said that would be a good idea for salons, and that's how that idea came around. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good idea. Okay,
Awesome.
I'm not seeing any questions popping up. But so if anybody has got a question, then please go into that Facebook page that Jay shared with you. It's a great opportunity to keep in touch with Jay and with other people as well, and just share ideas. So thank you very much for attending our webinar today, and we'll send out some information about next month's webinar in a few weeks. I hope you all have a fantastic week, and thank you very much, Jay.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks very much.
Bye, everyone.
Bye for now.